This is madness. This is madness. The Indiana Fever, Stephanie White, the whole Indiana Fever front office, and more in the WNBA are under FBI investigation. Indiana Fever under investigation for mysterious injuries that never made any sense. None of this stuff made sense. How it played out in the season. They strung people along for a long time. Now, you got the FBI involved. People are wondering were the higher-ups involved in something that was beyond the...
She was ready to play, she told them, but they stopped her. Caitlin Clark's own words and undeniable actions laid bare a disturbing truth. Something was profoundly wrong with the Fever's player injury management. This directly sparked the FBI investigation now targeting Stephanie White and the entire organization. The silence surrounding Clark's sidelined readiness was deafening, signaling a cover-up far deeper than anyone initially imagined. Careers are now hanging by a thread as federal agents dig into what really transpired.
Look, anytime you think about Caitlin Clark's sophomore WNBA season, it's more what could have been than what was, right? And what we missed due to the injuries. And obviously Clark was hurt pretty bad. You know, the ankle injury, the fact that she didn't make it back for the playoffs, and Stephanie White has said she's still working her way back to 5-on-5, hopefully by the end of the month. So, you know, a long process there. The highlights that we did get were compelling and telling and show you the joy that she brings to the court, whether it was, you know, hitting that shot over Breanna Stewart and the laughs that inspired, or even in the preseason, the logo shot over Team Brazil, or the...
This isn't just a rumor anymore. The Indiana Fever and its front office, alongside higher-ups in the WNBA, are officially under FBI investigation. The focus, a series of mysterious injuries that have baffled fans and analysts alike, injuries that never made logical sense given their nature and length. This unprecedented federal scrutiny suggests a level of misconduct previously unthinkable within the league, moving far beyond typical team disputes.
People along for a long time. Now, you got the FBI involved. People are wondering were the higher-ups involved in something that was beyond the fans' eye view. This is wild. We're going to break down what we know. These are things we know. We saw some of these injuries, but there's a lot of questions. The Caitlin Clark injury. What really happened with Chloe Bibby? Did she get a post? She said she had a knee injury. Was there a surgery? What really happened with Damiris Dantas? They said we're going to get into all of it. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe.
At the heart of this unfolding scandal is Stephanie White, the head coach whose decisions regarding player availability are now under intense federal review. Fans question her motives and methods, especially concerning critical players whose absences defied conventional medical explanations. The FBI's involvement elevates this from a sports controversy to a serious legal inquiry, with White positioned squarely in the crosshairs, facing unprecedented scrutiny over her coaching decisions.
You know, a little bit of Caitlin on the floor, and just you see her in uniform and you remember, oh yeah, the screaming at the sun, you know, motioning to the crowd, step back threes, all the things that energy. There's the Stewie play that I was talking about, the passes, all of that makes her so dynamic, and I really believe is the reason and the impetus for Caitlin Clark's fame, right? Like that Brazil player made the TikTok, you might be wondering how I found myself in this situation, right? That is Caitlin Clark in a nutshell. But beyond that are all these other discussions that...
Caitlin Clark's initial groin injury became a bewildering saga. For weeks, the team repeatedly declared her day-to-day, yet this day-to-day status inexplicably stretched into over a month, keeping the league's biggest star off the court for an extended period. This prolonged absence, coupled with the ambiguous updates, frustrated fans and raised the first red flags that something far more complex was at play behind the scenes.
On the live streams talking about, yo, there's something beyond this. He got all this footage of people moving around with injuries that's supposed to be hurt and all this stuff. Listen, it's a lot going on. Angel Reese claimed to have a back injury, but she's doing the too small on the sideline, twerking on the planes. I didn't even know there are companies that pay these players to sit out as long as they wear their brand, whether it be Gucci, all types of stuff. We about to get into all of this, man, because this is wild. Let's start right here. Stephen A. Smith is intimating.
The baffling day-to-day narrative resurfaced with Clark's second groin injury, echoing the previous season's confusion. Again, fans were strung along, purchasing tickets and placing bets on games with the expectation of her return, only for her status to remain frustratingly vague. This pattern suggests a deliberate strategy of misdirection, leaving many to wonder if ticket sales and gambling interests were prioritized over transparent player health updates, fueling suspicions of manipulation.
That is Caitlin Clark in a nutshell. But beyond that are all these other discussions that she gets thrown into. And look, everybody does it. I mean, I'm doing a video on Caitlin Clark right now. Everybody does it. But sometimes it gets hijacked to a certain extent. And Stephanie White was on the Fever Insider show with Chloe and Brian, and I'll link their full show in the description. But she talked about that a little bit, and before she had said that Caitlin is a pawn in other people's games, a pawn, if you will. Fever Insider with
Adding another layer of complexity to Clark's injury narrative were the wildly conflicting reports about her ankle. Indie Star reporter Chloe Peterson stated the ankle had nothing to do with Clark's extended absence, directly contradicting Scott Agnes, another Fever insider who insisted the ankle was the sole issue. These contradictory accounts from official sources further eroded public trust, painting a picture of deliberate misinformation designed to obscure the true reasons for her extended time off the court.
Because this is wild. Let's start right here. Stephen A. Smith is intimating that Donald Trump is targeting the NBA, potentially the WNBA, by increasing the intensity of the FBI investigations into the NBA. Shams reported that director Kash Patel was directly involved with the investigations into the NBA. Now, we heard already Stephen A. Smith say, tell Monica McNugget that the WNBA is next. Now the rumor.
Then there's the strange case of Chloe Bibby. After showcasing her scoring ability early in the season, Bibby was inexplicably benched by Stephanie White, seeing her minutes vanish. Suddenly, a mysterious knee injury emerged, despite her minimal court time. Crucially, this injury required no surgery. Unlike other verifiable player ailments, the sequence of events, benching, then an unexplainable injury for a player barely on the court, raises serious questions about Bibby's sidelining.
However many years. I remember I was calling the Iowa game at Maryland her junior year, and I was staying at the same hotel as they were, and it was like a pro event, because at the hotel, like, fans were lined up out the door. They had to line to wall it off and fence it off, rope it off, the area. And at the time, I think I said it's like Taylor Swift 2.0, and it literally is like Taylor Swift 2.0. And because of that, her name gets thrown into a lot of conversations that have absolutely nothing to do with her or her interests. Her name grabs headlines, her name grabs attention, her name is clickbait, her name is utilized in a way that very few.
Damiris Dantes also became a mystery. She suddenly appeared on the injury report with a concussion, an injury that seemingly occurred out of nowhere, not sustained during a game or visible incident. What's more, Dantes sat out for an entire month, an unusually long recovery period for a concussion, even by NFL standards, where players often return much quicker. Her prolonged absence without a clear cause ignited further speculation about the true nature of these injuries.
Smith say, tell Monica McNugget that the WNBA is next. Now the rumors are floating around. The Indiana Fever, were they doing something? Was y'all doing something y'all wasn't supposed to? Really think about it. Caitlin Clark gets a groin injury early in the year. For weeks, even with the first groin injury, they kept saying day to day. Nobody is day to day with an injury for a month. They did that with the first groin injury. Then we move on.
The investigation stretches far beyond the fever, hinting at wider WNBA involvement. Insiders suggest that higher-ups within the league might be implicated in this shocking web of deceit and questionable player management. The scope of the FBI's inquiry points towards systemic issues rather than isolated incidents, suggesting that these mysterious injuries could be part of a larger coordinated effort impacting the integrity of the entire league and its operations.
With her or her interests. Her name grabs headlines, her name grabs attention. Her name is clickbait. Her name is utilized in a way that very few people and athletes are. It's in the same sphere as LeBron, as Serena Williams, as Tiger Woods, and as Taylor Swift. And so, you know, I wish that Caitlin was able to just live her life. However, you know, with the things that she's accomplished, you know, there's a lot of responsibility and a lot of attention that comes because she's elite at what she does, and she handles it in a way that I'm not sure most 23-year-olds would.
You know, and Caitlin Clark is just a 23-year-old young woman who loves the...
Stephen A. Smith dropped a bombshell, hinting that Donald Trump's administration might be intensifying FBI investigations into both the NBA and WNBA. This theory suggests a political dimension to the current scrutiny, implying that the FBI's increased involvement is not merely about sports integrity, but potentially part of a broader federal agenda. Shams Charania's report confirming Director Kash Patel's direct involvement adds significant weight to these alarming claims.
It's by all types of stuff. This stuff is deep now, you guys. It is deep. We don't know what they were really doing, and the fact that none of it ever made sense. Really think about it. None of it ever made sense. I think we played the Minnesota Lynx, I want to say 3 times within the span of a week. And they kept saying, yo, she's going to be back by the Minnesota Lynx game. They kept saying day to day. Oh, she's working every day, day to day. This is for like 2.5 straight months. Y'all was saying she was day to day. Were y'all misguiding the fans? Did somebody have some gambling interest?
Further revelations point to unsettling financial incentives. It's alleged that some companies pay players to sit out, provided they wear their brand, from high-end fashion labels like Gucci to other sponsors. This potentially unethical practice suggests a dark side to athlete endorsements, where players might be incentivized to remain sidelined for commercial gain, completely independent of their true physical condition. This aspect of the scandal could fundamentally redefine player-brand relationships.
Run in her junior year against Louisville, against South Carolina, those huge performances before the Angel Reese moment, which took things to another level, and then her senior year, which had the crossover at Kinnick, and then obviously they go back to the national championship game, all those ratings, records, and then she goes on to the WNBA, and people seem to forget sometimes the origin story, right? They make the story whatever they want it to be, and a lot of times, again, that is exclusive to social media. I've made this point plenty of times before. You know, the people that buy tickets, the people that show up in the arenas, the people that cheer, they're the people that matter. They're the people.
The specter of gambling interest looms large over the entire situation. The repeated day-to-day injury updates for Caitlin Clark, which strung along fans buying tickets and placing prop bets, suggest a deliberate manipulation of information. There are serious questions about whether individuals with undisclosed gambling stakes might have influenced player availability, creating an environment where game outcomes and player statuses were potentially compromised for financial gain.
She has a concussion. Out of nowhere, she pops up with the concussion. It didn't happen in a game. We didn't see her fall on the floor. Like, she pops up with the concussion. She sat out for a month. For a month with the concussion. Like, NFL, there's guys in the NFL that got a concussion 10 days ago that are about to play Sunday. And they're doing head-on-head collision. We didn't even see this lady get hurt. She sat out for a month straight because of a concussion. Come on now. Come on now.
Even Angel Reese faced scrutiny over a supposed back injury. Despite claiming to be sidelined, she was seen on the sidelines engaging in dynamic, too small celebrations, conspicuously torquing her body. This public display, seemingly inconsistent with a debilitating back injury, fueled fan skepticism and reinforced the narrative that some player injuries might be less legitimate than publicly stated, raising more questions about player accountability and transparency.
They're the people that matter. They're the people that are actually a part of this phenomenon rather than the people that are trying to spin certain narratives or get off certain agendas or whatever the case may be. But what was shared at the top of this video is exactly why Caitlin Clark's name generates the headlines that Stephanie White, alluded to, because it was her game that brought people in, because people were so excited to see her play. And that's why there was, sorrow, I guess is the word for it, that she was not able to play so much of this season. And then when she's not...
For months, critics who dared to question the injury narratives were dismissed as conspiracy theorists. Now, with the FBI officially involved and federal agents scrutinizing every detail, those initial suspicions are being validated. What was once relegated to fringe theories now stands as a credible federal investigation, suggesting that the conspiracy theorists were in fact remarkably prescient in their observations and concerns about the league's integrity.
We got conflicting reports from Fever insider reporters. Chloe Peterson said it had nothing to do with the ankle injury. She's with the Indy Star. She just had an interview drop with Stephanie White. She said it had nothing to do with an ankle. Scott Agnes said it was all about the ankle. Nothing made sense. Now the WNBA and the Indiana Fever specifically are about to be under investigation. All of the people that was getting called conspiracy theorists and all this stuff, y'all looking 100% right. You looking 100%.
Amidst the controversy, Stephanie White publicly addressed the incessant discussions around Caitlin Clark, stating that Clark is often a pawn in other people's games. White emphasized that many narratives surrounding Clark are projections and agendas from external sources, not Clark's reality. She highlighted Clark's extraordinary maturity in handling intense celebrity and scrutiny, acknowledging that Clark's name is often clickbait used to grab headlines far beyond basketball.
Bert and the WNBA CBA negotiations, and Caitlin Clark, as soon as her name was mentioned, it was lead story A, right? The WNBA was back on the debate shows and all that after a little bit of an absence, and hence is the power. What's the Spider-Man saying is with great power comes great responsibility, and Caitlin has shown nothing that indicates she's not able to handle all that, but her coach clearly cares, and that's an important thing to note too, because this is somebody who's followed her, somebody that's familiar with her, somebody that went against her.
The media landscape often thrives on creating adversarial relationships, and the dynamic between Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White has not been immune. Despite external attempts to portray them as incompatible for content, Clark herself posted an all-caps message of support for White amidst the Fever's run without her. This suggests a genuine bond and mutual respect, challenging the manufactured narratives of conflict and highlighting the pressure to create drama where none exists. White's concern for Clark appears genuine, stemming from a long-standing familiarity. White has not only coached Clark, but also followed her career since her junior year at Iowa, even calling her Taylor Swift 2.0 inches due to her unprecedented fan following. This deep personal understanding suggests that White is uniquely positioned to appreciate the immense pressure Clark faces, and her public defense of Clark as a pawn carries significant weight given their history. The FBI investigation into the Indiana Fever's injury practices, especially concerning Caitlin Clark, now brings a federal hammer down on what many perceived as mere sports drama, with Clark herself implicitly confirming a disconnect between her readiness and the team's decisions, and Stephanie White facing unprecedented scrutiny. The full scope of this scandal threatens to reshape the WNBA, demanding transparency and accountability from top to bottom. The truth finally will be unearthed.